My dears, today we are going to analyze the psychological profile of Kseniya Borodina and her opossum Nikolay Serdyukov. Why an opossum? Because he looks so much like this animal. If I had said her bunny, he wouldn't mind, but maybe he'll be upset about being called an opossum. Because people label animals as good or bad. If you tell a person that they look like a pig or a rat or a mouse, it makes them feel uncomfortable. But if you tell them they look like a bunny, a little hamster, or a kitty, they'll be very happy. Tell me, why is that? After all, piggies are wonderful animals and rats, well, that's something else. But a piggy, or rather a pig, it's like it's eating some kind of filth rolling around in the mud. Probably, there really is an association at play here. Yes, my friends, all right, let's talk about Nikolay Serdyukov. What can we say right away? Because we've already talked quite a bit about Borodina on this topic, just a little bit. Nikolay Serdyukov never gives full interviews, just appears on shows, joking around, never seriously. He probably avoids those particularly deep questions. Yes, that might not show him in the best light. Because he lives in the house of his wife, Kseniya Borodina, drives, as I understand, her car, gives these fake bags from Sadovod as gifts, and all of this looks shabby and pathetic.
Will you be making a prenuptial agreement?
Oh, that's a great topic. Well, if someone needs it, I'd be happy to. And what can someone take from me? Let's put it this way, my car. Yes.
She picks up some, of course, rather peculiar guys. I mean, tell me, what normal man would go on all these shows, but still some losers do go. I instantly recall that bald fool who wanders around and she always tells him she doesn't need him. I think his name is also Kolya.
He does it again and again. Kolya, damn it, don't do that! Are you kidding me right now? Yes. Cole, that's not nice. Oh my god.
Or the second animal abuser from House 2, the skinny one, which I'll show you now.
I'll quit the project, but I'll take down that creature.
So basically, most of the men I remember are like that. This Sontsev guy, for example.
Get out of here. I said don't come here, don't come in, don't come in.
They're all pretty pathetic, don't you think? So it's very, very hard to imagine a normal guy being on that show. Well, it's just not possible. She picked up one little god, got divorced, then picked up a second and a third. That's already 3.
How much does the apartment cost?
More than 100 million? No way.
How are you going to buy it? He got excited. What's in the prenup?
Exactly. Focusing on that, he's clearly an opportunist, the largest information technology community in Russia. If you focus on that, then of course he's definitely an opportunist and completely stuck in psychological and endless defenses. Because after all, this world, the blogging world of this television, is quite aggressive. When I watch all these kinds of shows, I see how people treat each other very harshly. And there, whether you want to or not, you naturally grow these thorns. It's clear with Serdyukov, we can see it.
Shut your mouth! Do you hear me? Don't go after the girl!
No need to put it there. Whatever was there.
That's it. Calm down.
Very good. It's noticeable. He's here. I'm not saying he's a psychopath or has antisocial personality disorder, but he's an excitable psychopathic type, and that's enough. Such a person is explosive, and of course he can be a very good friend. You really can, I think, talk to him a lot. He's that kind of boy. Interesting, not stupid, lively, lovable, responsive, warm, kind, and attentive.
Whenever I was on set, only Kolya could make me laugh, support me, and check in on me.
He definitely has all of that. She's not making it up. It's really true. But at the same time, he also has that very complexity, that prickliness. That's just how he is. Complex, intense, and quick to react in this aggressive environment.
It's just crazy. When he runs by, honestly, I'm even afraid to stand next to him because it's like that.
He's so unpredictable. He could even throw something.
And anything at all.
He's violent.
He doesn't respect anyone in particular.
That's just how he is here overall.
That is, when he gets into it, the level of tension increases, so to speak, and he falls into all sorts of rather unpleasant states. He loses control of himself, starts insulting people, including Borodina. He acts very aggressively toward her, saying things like, "I'll break your leg right now, you have no brains."
I'll break your leg. Let's see how you talk then.
Who am I?
Yeah, it hurts. Yes.
I got it, but didn't understand.
You said that's enough and you don't like it.
I'm not even looking at you.
No, I can see it. I know you well. I know that well. That's just how I am.
And obviously, of course, she will get to know his, so to speak, second side. I wouldn't even call it his shadow side because it's not really a shadow. No, he's a complex, difficult character by nature. That's just who he is. Yes, it's just that at this moment he understands perfectly well that he needs to win over, so to speak, this complicated lady. She is quite wealthy, financially speaking. She's famous, and without her, to be honest, he's basically nobody.
She's a public figure, she's a major media personality, and personally, it was clear to me that I wouldn't find anyone better. And here I have to say no one, no one.
And he's kind of an opportunist in a way, and at this point he understands perfectly well that he needs to somehow appease her, he needs to tolerate her, he needs to put up with her. Because Kseniya, she's also a complicated woman. They're actually extremely similar. Please.
Don't stomp your feet or irritate me. Let her stay in the middle.
Why in the middle? She's at the very top. She starts with this. I told you 100 times like this.
This stick goes in the middle.
We understand each other with half a word.
They are so much like brother and sister, and they look alike. I'm not referring to their appearance, but to their inner essence. Essentially, they're like brother and sister. And overall, you can kind of understand why she chose him. First of all, she loves all kinds of Turkish television series. She's just a fan. She attends meetings with actors, visits filming sets, takes interest in everything, and meets everyone. He probably reminds her of some Turkish Khan, and she especially likes that. His beard, it's not a goatee, it's actually quite beautiful, thick and big, and it impresses her somehow. She probably senses some masculinity, some ruggedness. That there's a man next to her, but despite his beard, he still looks like an opossum. He doesn't look like some macho guy. She has mixed blood from different places. I think she has a bit of Turkic blood, and her mother is, I believe, half Tatar. So this kind of mixed blood, this mixed heritage actually leads her to have this need to be a little girl in the hands of a great Shah Padishah.
He doesn't let me decide anything anywhere, and I really like that. I haven't had that for a long time, or almost never, and for me it's very new and interesting. People say I'm such a girl and so little, but that's not me. I've never been like that.
By the way, I actually really love not just Turkish movies. I don't have time for them. I love those cartoons about Shere Khan, you know, the tiger and the beautiful princess Aladdin, something like that, something Eastern, because it feels like there's a kind of carefreeness in them. It's like you're taken to this kind of kindergarten, this harem, and you just sit there cleaning your feathers and you don't do anything else. And there's something so alluring about that. But she has to hatch her own eggs, be both a man and a woman, a horse, and who knows what else, and carry all of that on her own. And of course, that's hard. There's this sense that someone should have come to hold you, but instead it was the opposite. Again, she took in some poor little kid, one poor guy, then another, then a third. Basically, she's like a magnet for weirdos. She worries people don't actually like her.
So why is there all this negativity towards me? I never lived off sugar daddies. I never took anyone away from their family. I wasn't born super rich or cool, and I didn't just get everything in life handed to me. I never got in anyone's way. I never did anything bad.
So why do people dislike her? She's rude, she's tough, she's harsh, very show-offy. She used to cover up her license plates in a really ugly way, just leave her car and cover up the plate. There's a lot of aggression, this pushiness, some kind of power play. And most people suffer because they lack the courage to speak up for themselves or to stand up for their rights. And here it's as if they see not just an ordinary girl.
Because I'm one of them, right? I'm from the people.
She keeps trying to pretend she's just a girl from the people, but she's not. No matter what, she wasn't born into a poor family. She suffered greatly as an abandoned child. Her mother married young and left her with her grandparents when she was about a year old. But in any case, from time to time they would take her to Italy and back. According to her, a wealthy stepfather covered the costs of an expensive private school and even paid for a driver. She had the best things in the class: a different pencil case, a different backpack, different clothes. The girls and boys were jealous of her.
It was a beautiful, what they call, glossy life. My stepfather talked with Tom Cruise. You know, they would come over to visit, yes, and some of our own celebrities would also come to our house.
So, and this story, of course, I just came to television to sit in the audience or something like that. Who sits there? Those old ladies clapping in the crowd, so they told me to sit there. And I sat in the audience. Someone suddenly approached me and said, "Kshusha, hi, what's your name? Is she here, Kshusha? Would you like to write a script for us?"
While I was in the audience, an editor approached and asked if I wanted to be in the show. I replied, "Oh no, I don't want to be on camera." They wanted me to try writing a script, so I ended up writing a couple of scripts. They said, "Well, we're hiring you."
We believe Kshusha completely. That's exactly what happened. Then things progressed and I became the host of Dom 2, me and Kseniya Sobchak.
They needed a girl to help build the house at the site, which is why the whole story about Italy and my mom exists. Of course, they were interested, but they mostly kept quiet about it and focused more on the fact that I was raised by my grandmother, lived in Russia, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics during hard times. That was closer to what they wanted. That's why you should talk more about that, rather than the fact that you went to a private school that cost a lot of money.
A good education. I had one.
Yeah.
How come? Why don't people like me? After all, I achieved everything on my own.
I made my own path and accomplished everything on my own.
This phrase, of course, is extremely loud, and it's especially loved by people who, let's say, didn't have a poor childhood. Overall, what can we say, for example, about a possum? We can't say much about him yet because at this point he hasn't fully revealed himself. Except maybe in those television shows, which I absolutely can't stand. Actually, nobody in the group can stand him, and the audience really doesn't like him either. Everyone mocks him and makes fun of him.
Kolya was always yelling and scolding others.
It was unpleasant. I told him, "Kolya, be quieter."
Living with someone so rude is impossible. She won't be around long. It'll end with her. Well, there's something wrong with him, but what can you do? It's there. As for our Borodina, well, we can clearly see this expressiveness. She's very open like that. Bright, looks great. She just looks like a doll. Amazing, good for her. 42 years old, looks wonderful. Well, 42 years old, I can't say that's some special age when you should fall apart. But in any case, she still works a lot and looks amazing. She never faded into the background. She was always riding this wave of fame. A workaholic, terribly ambitious, loves applause and attention and carries herself beautifully on stage. She's simply boundless, diplomatic, friendly, and it's true, she's very sociable. You can listen to her with your mouth open. She speaks so vividly, she holds the listener's attention, and you can listen to her for a long time.
You shouldn't let yourself go. Stay in good shape. But the most important thing is what you see in the reflection, and if you enjoy what you see in the reflection, then you should savor it.
Great, thank you. I wouldn't call it a great oratory skill. She doesn't speak beautifully and her vocabulary is quite limited. That's not the point. It's that she has a special, quite strong energy. She holds the audience, holds her listener, and that's really the highlight of the show. Why did they have a hard time getting along with Sobchak? Because she's a leader and he's a leader too?
Can't you understand? Can't you learn 2 words, Kshuk? You're getting me worked up.
Yes.
I got you worked up. Dress warmer. You know that you work outside.
Strong leadership qualities are present. That's the kind of person she is, of course, but at the same time, there's this kind of aggressiveness, as I already mentioned. It's like she just rolls over everything like a steamroller. And then even with her opossum, they just sit together. She sometimes doesn't let him say a word. She constantly shuts him up. He wants to say something and she's like, be quiet, don't talk. Why did you say that? Or something. I can tell she's really getting to him already.
Why propose there? I was in a great mood.
But wait a little longer.
We're at a small restaurant in Moscow. Not this one?
Better yet, tell me.
The example is overwhelming. I mean, she drove her second husband to alcoholism to the point where he just became a total mess, almost like a piece of trash. He wasn't exactly shining to begin with, so to speak, but she completely wore him down. But now he's doing okay, more or less. Kurban, Amarov, Amar, Kurbani, he's with a blonde girl, and the blonde girl is nice, pretty, also a good girl. I can imagine how she went through that difficult divorce. It wasn't easy for her. Still, you have to admit, when your husband is like that, with his blue eyes, such beautiful eyes. Of course, this Amar Kurbani, well, Kurbanovich has pretty eyes, so blue, but they would get red when he went on a drinking binge. And then he found that girl, young Valeria. I would have lost my mind if I had been traded for someone like that Valeria. She did well, Borodinata, that she pulled herself together, that she didn't lose herself in all of this. Yes, she kept working through pregnancies, illnesses, and divorces. So no matter how hard the period in her life was, she was always at the peak of her fame, and that's actually quite rare. Good for her. She looks great. What else do we want to say about her new profession as a psychologist? I can hardly imagine where and when she managed to study. And you often ask me, Veronica, about online training to become a psychologist. Can you really learn online? Listen, you can study online if you have a fundamental basic education, an academic background, if you've graduated from university, and then you can study online anywhere. You can just listen. That's one thing. You can have many fields, but basic education is essential. Without it, I find it very strange. Honestly, I don't really understand, especially regarding clinical psychologists. Look, in my first year at university, I had anatomy at the Military Medical Academy. We stood there with those cadavers, dissecting them for a whole year. Can you even do that online? Not really. We studied psychiatry at the Bekhterev Institute in psychiatric hospitals, addiction in rehab centers, and child psychology in kindergartens. So our neurotic patients were in the neurosis ward, and we used to run around with questionnaires. Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, Wexler. Those were our patients, and we attended all those clinical case discussions. So we traveled all over the city, meaning we didn't just study at the university. All our subjects took place in all sorts of different hospitals. You see, I don't really understand how it's possible to do all of this in reality, directly online. Online is more like experimental psychology. We sat there with various sensors and caps, recording, documenting, and analyzing all the data. But you immerse yourself in a whole world for many years, and you live in it, you live with these people. You enter that psychiatric ward, you watch the patients rocking back and forth, walking around, you talk to the patients, you talk to the psychiatrist. It's like learning to be a doctor online. I don't understand what this is about at all, what it's about. Or has the level of education dropped so much now? Please write to me. Honestly, I have to admit I'm just extremely surprised. All right, kiddies, well, okay, so what psychologist? I don't know if she really wants to call herself that. Well, okay, let her be a psychologist, sure. Although, on the other hand, I think, why are you getting into this? You have your wonderful professional activity. You identify yourself. You're a host. That's great. You're already on this horse, so let's go. But why? Are you planning to study to be a stylist now? Where do these methods come from, Tanya? But there is this feeling as if I'm nobody. Yes, I mean, it actually comes from some kind of gaping wound, like I don't really know, who am I? And it's as if I'm nobody at all. And people tell me, Kshuka, you're so good at resolving conflicts on Dom 2, you're a natural psychologist. I think, yes, that's right, I'll go study to become a psychologist. And really, it's like Sobchak has some kind of underlying reason, like she's just sitting there. She sometimes confuses her roles as interviewer and psychologist, always trying to see herself as a psychologist. She says, I'm a psychologist. Yes, I'm a psych. Overall, she has this kind of image. You know who I would compare her to? She really reminds me of a stripper. She's all small, cute, and compact. And this type of very easygoing, superficial girl who can talk to anyone about anything. And she does it just like that, very skillfully, very easily, without any effort at all. She can instantly find common ground with absolutely anyone. And this is kind of like a trait of a stripper. Besides everything else, she has this rehearsed, endless speech, as if she had been practicing somewhere, and then she just sat down and bam, she wasn't really rehearsing, but just running through it. Like, how am I going to say it? How am I going to tell people? She always seems to have some kind of confrontation between herself and other people.
You have no grounds to accuse me. My reputation is spotless, and I've always acted with dignity.
She's trying to prove herself to them. Comrades, I'm a good person. Look, let me explain to you. Just like I told Tiona, I said to her, daughter, your mother is happy. Or maybe it was Tiona or Marussia, I don't remember. They told me, Mom, as long as you're happy.
My child always said, Mommy, I want you happy. I don't want anyone to hurt you. That's what matters most to me.
Well, that's also a utopian idea, to be honest. I can tell you this as, first of all, a daughter of a mother who was endlessly happy, but I was unhappy because of her happiness. To be honest, the fact that she had a first husband, a second husband, a third husband didn't make me happy, but my mom was endlessly happy. That's one thing. You might say it's just my unique case and not to preach based on isolated examples. Okay, I won't do that. Let's take client cases. I can't remember any of my clients who would say that. My mom had so many men, so many husbands. I was so happy. Well, my mom was happy. She was building her personal life. She was basically drowning in orgasms, and I was happy about it. In the next room, or in this room, or even in the same bed, which is even worse, yeah, my mom is having orgasms, and I'm right there, happy for her. That's clearly nonsense and stupidity. No, of course not. Children are actually quite selfish beings. They want their mom to belong only to them or to be close by. There was a dad, not just some random guy, then another, a third, a fifth, even a 20th, but really these are just self-reassurances. Perhaps the child just wants to be closer to their mother with this phrase, like saying, Mommy, I just want you to be happy. And with a possum, with Kazaduev, or with anyone else, it doesn't matter anymore. Well, let's sum up our conversation now. The psychological portrait, so to speak, of both of them. What do we, of course, predict for them? We are making predictions. Well, probably divorce, because overall I don't even want to say it's because he's so nasty and she's such a good woman. No, they're a match for each other, not even because of that, but because there's a general trend like that. It's hard to stay together with all the temptations in this kind of environment, you know. It's very unstable. And when people are always around, when guys see pretty girls and girls see some guys, and you think, what the hell, why should I put up with this? I make my own money, I'm tired of opossum, I want someone new, so you look for someone else and opossum just fades away. So it's like it's already inevitable. It's hard for a person. It's like convincing someone that you have to live with one husband for your whole life. There's no what the hell, why, for what reason, for what purpose, based on what considerations, so that what? It all really comes down to finances, if you can afford it by all means, and if you're not that super. I feel sorry for the kids, but on the other hand, why feel sorry for them? Why pity them so that later they say, thank you, dear mother, thank you for living your whole life with that jerk, with him, my father. Thank you, Mom, or thank you, Mom, for being a single woman. Thank you, dear, for never marrying anyone, for raising me alone and doing everything for me. Thank you. Now let me take care of you, Mom. Let me support you, take you to the sea, buy you fur coats. Mommy, how much I love you, how grateful I am to you. Thank you, thank you. I bow to you, Mom, with deepest respect. Well, that's also very rare, so actually I really reconsider a lot of things. Do we even need to please our children like that? Yes, I want a divorce and as many partners as I want. If he suffers, that's his problem. He'll get over it. He'll become more humane, I want you to know. All my clients and patients, they're the ones who have really gone through such a school of life. They're much deeper than these refined kids who, damn, had everything easy. There was nothing to even talk about, nothing at all. Everything was right. They had mom, dad, everything was perfect. No fights, no scandals. Everything was for the kids, kids. So boring, really. Kishulki, I send you gentle kisses and hugs, and I remind you that I'm waiting for all of you in my psychotherapy group, which has been running for the 2nd year now, and all the information that I have recorded. Exclusive videos are waiting for you there. You'll come there, and that's it. Yes, you'll get everything. Every day I send exclusive content only to this group, and you become members of this group for a monthly fee that's just ridiculously low, literally the price of a cup of coffee. The link will be below in the description.